Cruise's honorary Oscar is long overdue, and here's why. When Tom Cruise takes to the stage at the Ray Dolby Ballroom this Sunday to accept an honorary Oscar, he could do so in a number of eye-catching ways. He could zoom in on a motorbike, screeching to a halt on a dime, leaping off the saddle, and launching into his acceptance speech in one fluid move. He could lower himself down from the ceiling, pirouetting perfectly in midair to pick up the statuette, all without touching the ground. Or he could do the whole thing underwater somehow. He can figure it out. Of course, he'll do none of the above. He'll walk on, aided by no alternative form of propulsion, except his little gold guy, and give a speech that will almost certainly be classy, humble, and shot through with a love of cinema. It's a speech that could reasonably include the words "about damn time," and had I been delivering it, it might have, but won't, for it's a speech that is long overdue. Cruise has never won an Oscar. There have been close calls in the past. He's been nominated 3 times as an actor. 4. Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire. And, arguably the closest call of them all, Magnolia, where his blistering turn as the deeply damaged men's lifestyle guru Frank T.J. Mackey was, ultimately, overlooked by the Academy. I'm quietly judging them. Then there were the roles that weren't even recognized. Rain Man, where he does the emotional heavy lifting, taking Charlie Babbitt from heartless huckster to genuinely humble. A Few Good Men, where Cruise showed he could not only handle the truth, but Jack Nicholson at full force as well. The quiet existential emptiness of Vincent, the gray-haired hitman whose smooth confidence is slowly chipped away during Michael Mann's Collateral, Eyes Bloody, Wide Shut, For the Love of God. It's long been a bugbear of mine that Oscar's biggest blind spot is comedy, which is every bit as hard, if not harder, than drama. Sometimes the best supporting actor/actress categories are used as a way to reward comedic performances. Think Kevin Kline in A Fish Called Wanda, or Marissa Tomei in My Cousin Vinny. Yet for some reason, Cruise's ultra-committed turn as Les Grossman, dancing it up a storm in Tropic Thunder, was overlooked. It's not known how Grossman himself took the news, but it's unlikely to have been in a sanguine fashion. Edge of Tomorrow doesn't work if you don't buy Cruise's subtle transformation from craven coward to stoic, determined soldier. And it wouldn't matter how many cliffs Ethan Hunt drives off if Cruise hadn't rendered him relatable and rootable. Since then, the glib and easy take on Cruise's career has been that he stopped going for gold as an actor and has, instead, shifted his focus onto becoming the ultimate movie star, the showman dedicated to putting bums on seats by throwing himself, sometimes literally, into some of the most dangerous stunts ever attempted. But to be glib about this recent trajectory is to overlook the skill of the performances. Edge of Tomorrow doesn't work if you don't buy Cruise's subtle transformation from craven coward to stoic, determined soldier. And it wouldn't matter how many cliffs Ethan Hunt drives off if Cruise hadn't rendered him relatable and rootable. Top Gun, Maverick, doesn't have the full-blooded emotional impact it has, and arguably doesn't do what it did at the box office if Cruise doesn't undercut Pete Maverick Mitchell's devil-may-care hijinks with a carefully cultivated layer of regret. Yet, when it was announced, earlier in the year, that Cruise was going to be one of 4 recipients of an honorary Oscar this Sunday, Dolly Parton, Debbie Allen, and Wynn Thomas are the others, Academy President Janet Yang zeroed in not on the acting, but on his incredible commitment to our filmmaking community, to the theatrical experience, and to the stunts community. When the pandemic had us all in its thrall and threatened to squeeze the life out of cinema-going, Cruise refused to give in. In the last 15 years alone, Cruise has driven a motorcycle off a cliff numerous times, been strapped to a plane as it takes off numerous times, scaled the world's tallest building, and done underwater sequences that were so dangerous that they might just take your breath away. Which would be bad. The stunts have been spectacular, price of admission alone stuff. Even Buster Keaton and Jackie Chan might have balked at some of the stuff Cruise has pulled off. Only one stuntman on the planet might have been capable of equaling these exploits. But we haven't heard from Tom Cruise in quite a while. When the pandemic had us all in its thrall and threatened to squeeze the life out of cinema-going, Cruise and his creative partner through much of the last decade and change, Christopher McQuarrie, refused to give in. A line in the sand was drawn. An insistence on a theatrical release for Top Gun, Maverick, at a time when studios were panic pivoting to streaming, paid off handsomely with the biggest hit of Cruise's career and a 4th Oscar nomination, this time for Best Picture. The production of both Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, turned into epic affairs as Cruise repeatedly pushed himself to the limits in an attempt to capture the audience's imagination. I've interviewed and spoken to Cruise quite a bit for Empire over the past few years, and been lucky enough to see him at work on the submerged Sevastopol set on The Final Reckoning. And one thing keeps coming up in our conversations. A recurring theme. The driving force. He's doing this not to show off, nor is it to satisfy the thrill-seeker side of him. He's doing it for audiences, to supercharge the cinematic experience, trying to make the movies he's making into genuine must-see events. He's striving to keep cinema's flame alive at a time when it's never been more battered by the winds of change. I think the last thing on his mind was an honorary Oscar, but it's finally about to happen, and it's richly deserved. His next movie, A Mysterious Affair, due out next year, is directed by one Alejandro G. Inarritu, so is a fairly safe bet to be in the awards conversation. Maybe Cruz should start clearing some more space on the mantelpiece.